Does the 15-minute price action actually help you, or is it causing you to freeze on the lower time frames because you're finding conflicting ideas? Well, I want to show you how I use the 15-minute, but first off, I know the audio is probably a little echoey. Clearly, the room is completely empty. I just moved to Florida, so bear with me. A nice new office is on the way. I have a lot of plans for this, so stay tuned. But yeah, appreciate your time tuning in as always, but also putting up with the audio for this week. I didn't want to not record anything because it's been over a week already. But how can we use the 15-minute? Let's go look at it here for just this week, and we'll look at some prior weeks as well. I just boxed off all the New York sessions of when we're probably trading, 9:30 to like 2, maybe 3 o'clock, right? And of course, we have that start of week view up in yellow, which is from Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's a changeover of a new week. We're going to anchor our start of week view up there and leave it on all week. So let's just go from the start to finish on a Monday, right? On a Monday that you can see the New York session's kind of a little bit bearish. And on the Monday, I should say, the start of week view up is really just going to be the daily view up, right, from that day. And it only becomes the start of week view up later on as you get more days. But regardless, pretty bearish since pre-market into the open in terms of price action that we're seeing into the open. But bigger picture, let's zoom back to last week. What is the overall bias? It's still long bias. Clearly, a very strong bullish week last week that I'm not really looking for short. So although maybe it's moving a little bit lower, that's not really the high probability of direction because that's not the trend, right? Maybe short-term intraday trend, it's moving a little bit lower, but sellers are definitely not in control big picture. I mean, even the fact that we took out a previous day's high from back here, pretty good chance that day wants to end bullish, which is exactly what it ended up doing by end of day, right? You can see Monday's open, the changeover, and where we finished, it was a bullish day because it probably wants to move higher. The trend has been bullish. So could you make money to the downside? Of course, there wasn't really much money to the upside, it seems like, but it wasn't easy money to the downside because it's not really in the direction of trend. Now let's go into the next day, Tuesday. You can see the second box is, like I said, the New York Open. That we're playing around that start of week VWAP, couldn't really break lower to start the day, right? You can see the New York Open was up and then down, but we're not going to just chase those shorts because same idea, we're not really bearish, especially since we haven't even taken out yesterday's higher lows. This could just want to be the next higher low and continue back in trend because as far as I could see, last week into this week, we're still potentially making higher highs and higher lows. So until I see some structure be broken and some continuation to the downside, maybe down here, then I'd be looking for shorts to continue because sellers have been in and sustaining in taking out structure. So if you wait for your bias to come back into play, right, you're sticking to that long bias until told otherwise with new information, then you can hopefully find some longs into the afternoon when it's ready to pop back in the direction of trend, right? Pretty simple. And then we go into Wednesday, same idea. Pre-market into the open was all selling, right? Looks like we're making a new low a day. We are. Let's sell this thing at the open. This thing is moving lower. It's right at that start of week VWAP. And same thing from yesterday. It's still not below yesterday's low. This could still want to form a higher low somewhere because the trend is still overall bullish this week. It's still rising more than not. And the stat that I showed earlier that once we take out a previous day's high like we did over here, there's a great chance that day wants to end bullish, right? You can find that report on Edgeful. You can find that report probably plenty of places that once a previous day's high is taken out, it's likely to continue that direction or at least close in that direction, right? So not really a seller on a day where we took out a previous day's high. So if you stick to that long bias, wait for the bias to come back in. Maybe you don't long it right at the open, but you can capitalize on the continuation a little bit later on, keeping that bigger picture in mind. And we could even go into Thursday. It was a short week with 4th of July on a Friday, but it was also short in hours on this Thursday. But same idea, clearly bullish heading into this Thursday open as we're at a new high of week, continuing that long bias that we've been holding all week because of the higher highs and higher lows, the start of week VWAP, zooming out in the bigger picture. That really all you can say about this one is just buy it. This thing just went higher and higher. There's no real pullback, but clearly a long bias, so just follow that. But let's go back to last week, right? We could look at the start of week VWAP, and there's lessons all within it. Let's go to Sunday at the changeover, 18 or 6 p.m. Eastern, and you'll see, let's re-anchor that one. That's not right. Right here. Clearly above it all week long, so that week you would have been looking for longs, but it's not off the start of week VWAP at all, like it was on some of the examples we just went over on this week. So how can you use it on a week where you're not playing with it? Well, you're not necessarily going to maybe use that start of week VWAP because, like I said, you're nowhere near it. But the same lesson applies as on this Tuesday you come in This bearish price action heading into the open is just a pullback in a bullish trend, and the buyers step back in to create that next higher high. On this Wednesday, it was very choppy. You can see the New York Open was right here, and it was actually bearish, right? So it was a bearish day in a bullish trend. Those aren't the days we're probably going to make a lot of money because the overall trend is bullish. I want to find longs in the trend. So it's not like sellers came in and completely shifted the market, shifted the trend. It was just really a pullback day on this higher time frame trend of moving back, pulling back, creating structure just for it to go ready back in the trend the next day, right? So it's tough to survive those days because you're wanting to find the longs that are going to continue the trend, but they don't come in. But the shorts don't really come in very heavily either. They kind of just fizzle down a little bit. And then overall the next day you can see how well buyers stepped right back in, and even the next day, right? Let's go back one more week, and I think if you use the 15-minute properly, it shouldn't confuse you, right? I think you want to use it as confluence, as the 15-minute, what is my bias? What is the story, right? I'm just really using it as painting a picture for me of, I know I could find shorts today, and it could work out, but what is the 15-minute maybe suggesting? If it's looking for longs and I could find a long that makes sense on the 1 minute, that's going to be the best days, right? Of course, you can make money on a bullish week to the downside on a specific Thursday, but I'm trying to give you guys what is the ideal conditions. What are the best plays to take? It's probably going to be when the markets are in line on the higher time frame and the lower time frame. So let's look at the week prior, and you can see Monday, strong bullish. So maybe we're setting in that bullish bias that we've had. We're kind of ranging here on the 15-minute. But then you come in on Tuesday, the very next day, I still would say from that start of week back here, these could end up being higher lows for sure. If this day could have turned back bullish and continued higher, but it did not. And notice how we didn't take out our previous day's high. So it's not very, very strong likely that we have to continue higher yet. And it didn't. But I think using that key VWAP, saying, well, buyers can't get above that start of week. So although I want to buy it because my bias has been bullish, it's not above this VWAP, so I definitely can't buy it yet. And then maybe you're selling it in the afternoon, or maybe you're just staying flat, avoiding the losing longs because you're right at a key VWAP. You come in the very next day as well. Notice overnight, what did we do? We have yesterday's low right here. You took it out. So you took out previous day's low pretty early on in the changeover. That same thing, rather than chasing the longs here in the New York session, it's right into that start of week VWAP. And you're not really super, super bullish structure on the week, right? You can see Monday here was bullish. Tuesday's been moving lower. Heading into Wednesday, we're still not making new highs, right? They could come in, but they haven't yet. Since that Monday high, it's been all sellers trying to take back control, and they're defending this view up again. You want to look for shorts back in the direction of that previous day's low break, right? Following the structure underneath that start of week view up. If we're underneath it, sellers are going to be in control. If we're above it, buyers are going to be in control, but I also want to have the structure to line up with that, right? And then it should be fairly easier when you come in on this Thursday and you've seen how bearish it's been since Monday's high, how buyers couldn't take it on Tuesday, couldn't take it here on Wednesday. Well, then when you come in here on Thursday and it's continuing lower highs and lower lows below the start of week VWAP, it should be fairly easy to follow the shorts if you could find it down on the 1 minute, which I'm sure you could, right? With a lower day VWAP break, a New York bounce, whatever the case may be, right? But just don't overcomplicate it of, I don't know if I want to sell it down here. It doesn't make sense for the shorts. No, it does make sense for the shorts because we made a new low a week. We took out Monday's low here on that Thursday, and it's been falling ever since Monday's high. So follow the structure, trade on the right side of start of week VWAP, and try the best you can to find confluence between that 15-minute structure and the 1 minute structure, right? You think here on the 1 minute on this Thursday, we can't find, where's the New York Open? So New York Open's over here. You don't think I could find a nice little pop lower at the open off the New York? And it kind of just fizzles out for sure. Not a lot of trade opportunities within there, but the direction would be more so selling pressure than trying to force longs to come in for whatever reason, right? So stay patient. Use this 15-minute as just a quick glance, right? There's no real detailed analysis on what does this candle mean? What is this reversal? What is this level? What are we doing with this start of week VWAP? What have we been doing on the week, right? It's obviously a lot easier as the week goes on to use this bigger picture on like a Thursday or even a Wednesday because you're telling me what has the story been since Monday, right? You can see on this week specifically, right? Okay, on Monday was bullish, but then Tuesday we didn't continue higher. We're still not continuing higher here on Wednesday. sellers are showing their hand a little bit. We're underneath start of week VWAP. Shorts could make sense here, right? You just get more information to play with as the week progresses. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're playing with this 15-minute, and always try to look to trade on the right side of VWAP, no matter what time frame you're on. And no matter what VWAP it is, try to trade on the right side of it. Stick to the trend. Keep it simple. Yeah, hope you guys found value in this. Hope you guys are making money just using the 15-minute. At a quick glance, you can see there's plenty of opportunities to use this 15-minute very simply off of a key VWAP, pairing it with the 1-minute VWAP strategy that I teach in Futures 2.0. And it can be good, not easy, but fairly simple to repeat consistently, right? So hopefully you guys found value in that. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, appreciate you tuning in and putting up with this audio. But the office is on the way. Give me time. The furniture is already on its way. But other than that, trade safe. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want any other videos. And I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.